The bullet tore through the air like a lover's curse, shattering the silence of the Wyoming Badlands and embedding itself in the rock face inches from Jonathan's temple. He dropped to his knees, heart slamming against his ribs, tasting copper on his tongue from where he'd bitten it bloody. In the dust-choked distance, a horse's frantic whinny cut the chaos, and a voice raw, desperate, American as apple pie and regret, roared his name. "Jonathan! Goddamn it! Run!" Jonathan Hale had come to the Wind River Range to bury his ghosts, not unearth new ones. The 28. He'd traded the concrete canyons of Manhattan for this unforgiving sprawl of sagebrush and granite, convinced that solitude could stitch up the frayed edges of a life unraveled by his ex's betrayal. Alex had left him 6 months ago, not with a fight or a farewell, but with a grinder notification that pinged like a gunshot while Jonathan was folding their shared laundry. "It's not you," Alex had said over takeout Thai, eyes fixed on his phone. "It's the monotony. I need more." More turned out to be a parade of faceless torsos, each one a fresh knife twist in Jonathan's gut. So he'd packed a rucksack with protein bars, a dog-eared copy of Kerouac, and enough spite to fuel a cross-country drive. Wyoming, he'd thought, wide open, wild, indifferent. The perfect place to disappear. The trailhead sign at Du Bois had warned of grizzlies and flash floods, but Jonathan figured the real danger was the echo of his own footsteps. Day 1, 12 miles of switchbacks, lungs burning, mind mercifully blank. By day 3, the ache in his calves had dulled to a companionable throb, and he'd started talking to the wind, muttering about boardroom betrayals and the hypocrisy of New York's progressive elite, who preached love is love while ghosting you at brunch. He was queer in a city that commodified it, out and proud until the app matches dried up and the invitations stopped. Here, amid the ponderosis, he could pretend none of it mattered. That's when the horse appeared. Not with a thunder of hooves, but a lazy clip-clop over the ridge, materializing like a fever dream from the heat haze. The rider was all lean lines and quiet menace, broad shoulders under a faded chambray shirt, jeans worn to a whisper at the thighs, a Stetson tipped low against the sun. He sat easy in the saddle, one hand loose on the reins, the other resting on a coiled lariat like it was an extension of his arm. Nathaniel Crow, though Jonathan wouldn't learn that name for another hour. 34. Born and bred on a ranch outside Lander. The kind of man who smelled like leather and sage and carried a .45 on his hip not for show, but because the mountains didn't give second chances. Nathaniel reined in his gelding, Buck, a few yards shy of the trail, blue eyes narrowing under the brim of his hat as he sized up the hiker. Jonathan froze mid-stride, water bottle halfway to his lips, suddenly hyper-aware of the sweat staining his tank top, the stubble shadowing his jaw. The cowboy's gaze lingered, a beat too long, waited with something unspoken before he tipped his head. "You lost, city boy? This ain't the Appalachian Trail." Jonathan's laugh came out sharper than intended, defensive. "Hiking. Alone. Not lost." He capped the bottle, willing his pulse to steady. Close. Nathaniel was arresting. Sun-leathered skin etched with faint laugh lines that didn't reach his eyes, a jaw carved from the same stubborn rock as the peaks behind him. And that voice, gravelly drawl, vowels stretched like taffy, pure Wyoming. Nathaniel swung down from the saddle with the fluid grace of someone who'd spent his life in rhythm with the land. "Alone's fine till it ain't. Storms brewin' east. You got a plan past that saddle?" Jonathan glanced skyward, The horizon was a bruise of indigo, but nothing immediate. "I've got a map. And a tent." A ghost of a smile tugged at Nathaniel's mouth, revealing a dimple that softened the hard edges. "Maps lie. Tent won't stop lightning." He jerked his chin toward a faint track veering off the main trail. "My spread's 5 miles yonder. Cabin. Dry wood. You're welcome to it, if you don't mind company." It was the hesitation in Nathaniel's offer, the flicker of vulnerability beneath the bravado, that hooked Jonathan. He should have said no. Hikers didn't detour for strangers, but the isolation had worn him thin, and those eyes promised something warmer than a campfire. "Lead on, cowboy." The ride was surreal. Jonathan perched behind Nathaniel on Buck's broad back, arms tentatively around the man's waist to steady against the trot. Heat radiated through denim, the scent of horse and man mingling with Jonathan's own anxious sweat. They didn't talk much at first, small talk about the drought, the elk migration, but as the sun dipped, painting the buttes in fire, Nathaniel's stories unfurled. Ranch life, mending fences at dawn, losing a calf to coyotes, the ache of winters that buried you alive. "Folks think it's romantic," he said, voice low over the creak of leather. "Truth is, it's lonely as hell. You pour your soul into the dirt, and it don't love you back." Jonathan found himself spilling in return, redacted versions. At least. The ad agency grind, the ex who bailed for adventure, the hollow thump of an empty Brooklyn walk-up. "I came out here to forget," he admitted as the cabin came into view. A weathered log affair with a sagging porch, smoke curling from the chimney like a beckoning finger. "Turns out, forgetting's harder than running." Nathaniel dismounted first, offering a hand that engulfed Jonathan's with calloused warmth. "Then don't forget. Remember what matters." Their eyes met again, the air thickening with unspoken questions. Inside, the cabin was sparse. Iron stove, plank table scarred from years of use, a loft bed piled with quilts. Nathaniel fried elk steaks while Jonathan chopped wood, the rhythm of axe on log syncing with the patter of rain starting outside. Over dinner, lit by lantern glow, the barriers cracked further. Nathaniel's laugh was rare, a rumble that shook loose something in Jonathan's chest. And when their knees brushed under the table, neither pulled away. That night, as thunder rolled like Judgment Day, they talked until words failed. Nathaniel confessed first. The divorce 2 years back. His wife who'd called him distant. But really it was the secret he'd buried since high school. The pull toward men. The shame of it in a town where faggot was still spit like venom. "I ain't brave like you city types," he murmured, staring into his coffee. "Wore it like a noose." Jonathan reached across, fingers tracing the veins on Nathaniel's forearm. "Brave's not shouting it from rooftops. It's surviving the quiet." Their first kiss was tentative, born of whiskey-loosened guards. Nathaniel's lips rough against Jonathan's, tasting of salt and storm. It deepened in the loft, bodies colliding with the urgency of men who'd waited lifetimes for permission. Hands mapped scars, Jonathan's from a childhood fall, Nathaniel's from barbed wire and heartbreak. In the afterglow, tangled in sheets that smelled of pine, Jonathan whispered, "This feels like starting over, but Wyoming's wild heart doesn't yield easy." Dawn brought clarity and complications. Nathaniel rose early, coffee brewing as he saddled Buck. "Ranch calls," he said, avoiding Jonathan's gaze. "You head out whenever." "Trail's clear now." Jonathan dressed in the chill. Hart nodded. Last night was real, Nathaniel cut in, fierce. But I ain't built for fairy tales. You got a life back east. I'm just dirt and duty. The stung. But Jonathan nodded, slinging his pack. At the door, Nathaniel pulled him close, kiss bruising. Write me. If you want. The hike out was a blur of wildflowers and what-ifs. Jonathan's phone buzzing with spotty service. A text from an old colleague, offering a promotion. Stability. The kind that didn't involve outlaws and outhouses. He typed Nathaniel's number into his contacts. Crow Ranch. Lander. WY, then deleted the agency reply. Not yet. Back in Brooklyn, the city swallowed him whole. Deadlines blurred into nights of takeout and Tinder swipes that tasted like ash. But Nathaniel's ghost lingered. A scuffed boot print on his subconscious. The phantom weight of arms around his waist. 2 weeks in, Jonathan caved. Texting, storm cleared. Missed the view. Reply came swift. View misses you. Fence down by the creek. Come fix it? He flew out that weekend. Blaming a work trip. Nathaniel met him at the airstrip in a rusted Ford. Grin splitting his face like sunrise. They fell into each other harder this time. Lazy mornings in the loft. Evenings branding steaks over open flame. Nathaniel taught him to rope. Jonathan's city-soft hands blistering on the lariat. Laughter echoing off the hills. You're a natural liar, Nathaniel teased, pulling him down into the hay. Pretending you hate this. I hate losing, Jonathan shot back, nipping his ear. And you're a cheater at everything. Love bloomed fierce and fragile, rooted in stolen weekends. Jonathan spun tales of ranch life to skeptical friends. It's just a retreat, while Nathaniel dodged his brother's prying. That New Yorker's trouble, Nate. Cities got hooks, but in the quiet hours, they dreamed aloud. Jonathan pitching remote design gigs, Nathaniel eyeing ecotourism to save the spread from foreclosure. We could build something, Nathaniel said one star-drenched night, head on Jonathan's chest. You and me. Real. It was the closest they'd come to naming it. Until the letter arrived. Jonathan found it tucked in his mailbox on a drizzly Thursday. Cream envelope, embossed with the Bar C Ranch logo, Nathaniel's family spread, the one he'd inherited after his folks' crash 5 years back. Inside, a single sheet, typed formal, Dear Mr. Hale, we regret to inform you that Nathaniel Crow has passed away on October 12th due to complications from a riding accident. As per his wishes, no services. Please respect our privacy. Sincerely, Elias Crow, brother. The world tilted. Jonathan read it thrice, numb, before the sob clawed free. October 12th, 3 days ago. He texted that morning, landing Friday. Bring the whiskey. No reply. Now this. He drove to JFK on autopilot, booked the red-eye, mind screaming questions. Accident? Nathaniel, who rode like he was born fused to the saddle. Lander greeted him with frost-kissed aspens, the Ford waiting empty at arrivals. Elias met him at the ranch gate. Burly, red-bearded, eyes like chipped flint. You Hale? Jonathan nodded, throat raw. Where is he? Elias's laugh was bitter bark. Buried yesterday. Private plot. Nate didn't want fanfare. He eyed Jonathan's rumpled suit, the overnight bag clutched like a shield. Heard about you. The consultant. The word dripped venom. Inside the main house, sprawling. Unlike Nathaniel's cabin, photos line the mantel. Nathaniel as a boy on a pony, arms slung around a gap-toothed Elias. Their parents, stiff in Sunday best. No trace of Jonathan's lover. Elias poured bourbon, slid a glass over. He fell funny. Horse spooked by a rattler. Neck snapped clean. Doc said instant. Jonathan's vision blurred. I don't believe it. Believe what you want. He was alone out there. No phone. No nothing. Elias leaned in, voice dropping. Left you this, though. Said if anything happened. He pulled a key from his pocket. Tossed it. Loft in the cabin. Figured you'd come sniffing. The cabin was tomb silent, air thick with dust and memory. Jonathan climbed the ladder on shaking legs, key turning in the lock of a cedar box. Inside, their whiskey bottle, half full. A stack of Polaroids, stolen shots of Jonathan asleep, grinning over a campfire, and a letter, Nathaniel's scrawl uneven, dated a week prior. John, if you're reading this, I fucked up the landing. Or the living. Been thinking on it, how you make the world less jagged. But this place, it's got teeth. Elias found out about us last month. Ambushed me after you left. Called me every name in the book. Said he'd burn the ranch before letting a queer drifter drag Nate down. Threatened your job, your life back east. I told him to go to hell, but he's got ways. Leverage. Debts I can't pay. So I pushed you away last call, said I needed space. Biggest one yet. Truth. I love you. City boy. Fierce as a Wyoming gale. If I'm gone, don't mourn the ghost. Live wide. For both of us. Yours, Nate. Tears soaked the page. Betrayal, not Nathaniel's, but the brothers, the lands, the worlds that forced secrets into graves. Jonathan staggered outside, collapsing against the corral where Buck nickered softly, nose bumping his shoulder as if in shared grief. The horse's eyes, dark and knowing, mirrored the void in his chest. Days blurred into a haze of condolences and casseroles from ranch hands who'd whispered about Nate's friend from the city. Elias kept his distance, but Jonathan caught the glances. Guilt? Triumph? On the fourth night, storm winds howling like banshees, Jonathan confronted him on the porch. You pushed him to this. Elias's face crumpled, bourbon bottle dangling. Pushed? I loved him. More than you ever could. Pansy. He was all I had left. The slur hung, but his voice cracked. Found the letters. Your pictures. Thought it'd pass. Like a fever. Told him to choose. Family or that. And he chose me. Jonathan's fists clenched. You killed him with your hate. Elias slumped against the rail, rain sheeting his face. Hate? Is fear. Hail. Fear of losing the only blood I got. Ranch is dying. Banks circling. Nate was the dreamer, talked sustainable herds. Your fancy tours. I saw ruin. You, the fight drained from Jonathan, leaving exhaustion. He wanted to save it. For you, silence stretched, broken only by thunder. Elias wiped his eyes. Too late now, but it wasn't. Not entirely. In the loft that night, sifting Nathaniel's things, a worn journal, sketches of eco-lodges with Jonathan's name scribbled in margins, resolve hardened. Nathaniel's dream wasn't dead. It was a seed, buried but not rotted. Jonathan called his boss at dawn, quitting mid-sentence. "I'm done selling lies." Got something real. Weeks turned to months. Jonathan sold his Brooklyn lease, liquidated savings, bought into the ranch, not as savior, but partner. Elias resisted at first, pride a thicker noose than grief, but Buck's nudge during a branding seemed to crack him. "Nate want this," he muttered one evening over venison stew. "Damn fool loved you." The tours launched spring 26. Crow Wilds, Ride the Range, Queer and Clear, Nathaniel's Vision, Jonathan's Polish. Guests came tentative, East Coast couples seeking escape, locals testing waters. Elias handled the horses, his gruff charm a draw. Jonathan led hikes, sharing stories of a cowboy who taught him the land's mercy. Betrayal's scar faded to a tattoo, live wide. One dusk, as alpenglow gilds the peaks, Jonathan stands at the corral, Buck's muzzle warm on his palm. Elias approaches, clapping his shoulder, first touch without tension. "He'd be proud, kid." Jonathan nods, throat tight. "He is." In the wind's whisper, he hears it, that gravelly drawl, urging him onward. Love, like the West, doesn't end, it endures, reshaping the horizon. The first season tested everything. Jonathan woke to frost-rimed windows, fingers numb as he shoveled paths for the Subaru hauling supplies from town. Elias barked orders like a drill sergeant, his efficiency a thin veil for control. "Ain't no place for your yoga mats and herbal teas," he'd grumble, eyeing the welcome baskets Jonathan prepped, locally sourced honey, maps etched with Nathaniel's favorite trails. But the numbers didn't lie. Bookings tripled by June, whispers of that gay ranch drawing media from Denver mags. "Queer cowboys? Sign us up," one reviewer gushed, her piece in Out Traveler going viral. Jonathan's heart swelled with each arrival. Nervous hands linking at check-in, stories swapped over communal fires. A trans kid from Cheyenne, escaping Bible Belt bruises. A leather daddy from San Francisco, seeking real grit. He channeled Nathaniel in every pitch. "This ain't performative. It's raw. Like us." Nights, alone in the cabin, he'd trace the Polaroids, whispering confessions to the dark. "Miss your hands, Nate. Your laugh when I botched the lasso." Grief was a tide now, ebbing to ache, surging to drown. Fall brought the storm. Not literal, but Elias. Hungover from a rodeo bender, he cornered Jonathan in the tack room, whiskey breath hot. "You're turning this into a freak show." Nate spit on it. The punch landed square. Jonathan's lip split, blood metallic on his tongue. He tasted the bullet from that imagined shot months back. The one that started it all. "Get out," Elias snarled. "Before I make you." Jonathan didn't flinch. This is his legacy. Yours too, if you let it. He wiped his mouth, tasting victory in the tremor of Elias's fists. "Hit me again, and it's assault." On video, his phone, propped on a hay bale, captured it all, insurance from the harassment that simmered since day one. Elias stormed off, but the seed cracked. Next morning, he slid a mug across the breakfast table. Black coffee, no cream. "Sorry don't fix ugly," he muttered. But saw the books. Were square on the loan. It was apology enough. They toiled side by side after, mending irrigation lines, debating solar panels. Elias even joined a trail ride. his baritone harmonizing with Jonathan's off-key rendition of Wagon Wheel. "You sing like a dying calf," he'd rib, but his eyes softened, echoes of brotherhood lost. Yet betrayal's shadow lingered. A letter from Alex arrived in November, postmarked LA, "Heard about your Wild West gig. Congrats on the glow-up. Coffee when you're east? Miss our talks." Jonathan burned it in the stove, flames devouring the ink like absolution. But doubt crept. Had he fled one cage for another? Late-night Google spirals, ranch failure rates, queer tourism backlash. A forum thread gutted him. Wyoming? For gays? That's a punchline waiting to die. Salvation came unbidden. Marcus, a venture capitalist from Austin, broad as a longhorn, with a smile that disarmed. He booked a solo week, citing recharge, but lingered over dinners, eyes tracing Jonathan's collarbone. "You're building an empire here," he said one night, stars wheeling overhead. "Need a partner? I mean, business." His hand brushed Jonathan's knee, intent clear. Temptation tasted like freedom. Marcus was easy. No ghosts, no grudges. They kissed by the fire pit, his touch polished, promising stability. "Leave the dirt," he murmured. "Come to Texas. Real money, real life." Jonathan pulled back, heart warring. This is real, but the seed planted. What if Nathaniel's dream was a grave, not a garden? Winter clamped down, tours dormant. Jonathan flew east for a pitch, securing seed funding from a queer VC fund. New York glittered, seductive, lofts with skyline views, brunches where his story earned nods and numbers. Alex cornered him at a gallery opening, all contrition and cologne. "You look alive. That ranch thing? It's hot." They tumbled into old patterns, drinks blurring to a hotel room, Alex's apologies a litany against Jonathan's skin. Morning regret hit like hypothermia. He ghosted the texts, boarded the plane with a vow, no more running. But Marcus's email waited, offer stands. With interest. And Elias's latest, Coyotes got the heifer. Need you. Home was the cabin, Buck's whinny greeting him at dawn. He confessed over pancakes, Elias's specialty, surprisingly fluffy. Screwed up. Old flames. New ones. Thought I could outrun it. Elias forked a bite, chewing slow. Nate ran once. To Denver, college boy dreams. Came back broke, but whole. He met Jonathan's eyes. Steady. You ain't running. You're rooting. Don't mistake thorns for chains. The words anchored him. Spring thaw brought renewal. A solar array humming to life. A pride flag fluttering defiant against blue skies. Guests swelled families now, teaching kids to track prints, sharing tales of hidden loves. Jonathan dated sparingly, a barista from Rock Springs, sweet but fleeting, honoring Nathaniel's charge, live wide. Climax brewed in July heat. A storm front barreled in, black as betrayal, flash floods carving canyons overnight. Tours canceled, but a group from Seattle hardy hikers insisted on pushing the ridge trail. Jonathan led, Elias on rear guard, radio crackling warnings. Lightning forked, splitting a pine inches from the path. Thunder shook the earth like judgment. Then the cry, a woman, mid-40s, leg pinned under a rockslide. Panic rippled. Hold steady, Jonathan yelled, sliding down, hands scrabbling for purchase. Elias rappelled beside him, rope taut. On 3, lift. They heaved, muscle and memory sinking. The rock budged. She screamed free. But the ground gave. Jonathan tumbled, shoulder slamming ledge, vision spotting. Elias's hand shot out, gripping his wrist. Not today. Hail, pulled to safety. Rain lashed and gasping. Jonathan clung to solid earth. The group huddled in the cabin after, blankets and bourbon flowing. The woman Sarah hugged him fierce. You saved me. Both of you. Elias clapped Jonathan's back. Voice gruff. Family shit, I guess. In the loft that night, storm spent. Jonathan journaled by lantern. Nate, we did it. Storm broke us open. Sleep claimed him deep. Dreams of horses and hands intertwined. Summer peaked with the county fair. Booths hawking pies and ponies. Fiddles wailing under strung lights. Crow Wilds had a stall. Brochures, Nathaniel's sketches framed as art. Elias manned the grill, flipping burgers with flair. Jonathan schmoozed donors. Charm honed Manhattan sharp. That's when the reporter cornered him. Lithe, from the Casper Star Tribune, notebook poised. Heard rumors. Brothers beef with the gay angle. Spill, Jonathan tensed. But Elias wandered over, plate in hand. Beef's well done, miss. And yeah, I was an ass. Lost my head after Nate. He glanced at Jonathan, nod subtle. But this, it's right. For him. For us. The piece ran front page. From feud to frontier, how grief forged Wyoming's queer haven. Inquiries flooded. A Netflix doc pitched. Betrayal transmuted to triumph. Fall harvest brought quiet. Jonathan and Elias rode the fence-a-line. Buck's successor, a filly named Echo, trotting tandem. Think he'd like the changes? Jonathan asked, wind tousling his hair. Elias reined in, surveying the valley, solar glints, guest cabins rising like hopeful ghosts. Hell, he'd be jealous. Man always wanted more than barbed wire. They dismounted at the creek. Skipping stones, Elias's arm brushing Jonathan's in easy camaraderie. No blood, but bond forged in fire. Thanks, Jonathan said. For letting me stay, Elias grunted. Wasn't letting. Was learning. As leaves turned crimson, Jonathan scattered Nathaniel's ashes, not on the plot, but the trailhead where they'd met. Wind carried them skyward. The final ride. Wide open. Love, he whispered. Winter whispered promises. A New Year's tour. Ice fishing for the brave. Jonathan's phone buzzed. Marcus. Faded to friend. Proud of you, Cowboy. Alex. Blocked. And a new match. A vet from Jackson. Ice kind as sage. Life layered on. Scars to stories. Nathaniel's course altered not just one, but many, proof that even in betrayal's wake, love roots deep, branching toward light. The vet's name was Riley, 31, freckled like autumn leaves, with a laugh that bubbled over coffee steam. They met at the Lander Library's Queer Book Club, Jonathan guest speaking on reclaiming narratives in the West. Riley's question cut sharp. How do you honor the dead without becoming a monument? Stuck. Their first date was a trail ride, Riley competent on a borrowed mare, sharing vet tales of spaying bobcats and birthing foals under moonlight. Ranch life calls, he said, ice crinkling. But I'm city tough. Grew up in Boise. Fled the straight-laced trap. Jonathan felt the pull, gentle, unscarred. No ghosts in Riley's kiss, just promise. They tumbled slow, exploring in the cabin's loft. Riley's touch reverent on Jonathan's tattoos. A lasso inked post-Nathaniel, coiled around wide. Beautiful, Riley breathed. Like you, Elias approved with a grunt and a six-pack shared on the porch. Treat him right, or I'll neuter you myself. Laughter bridged the gap. Elias's walls down to picket fence height. Crow Wilds thrived. A partnership with the local tribe, Eastern Shoshone, added cultural hikes. Elders sharing star lore. Revenue soared. Jonathan hired on. A non-binary guide. Alex, no relation. With a poet's eye for sunsets. The team gelled. Potlucks turning confessional. Coming out horrors. Family fractures. You're creating church, Alex said one night. Fireflies dancing. Holy ground, but conflict simmered external. The state senate, red as rust. A queer tourism with squint. A bill snaked through, protecting traditional values in public lands. Whispers of defunding eco-grants. Zoning blocks. Jonathan testified in Cheyenne. Suit crisp. Voice steady. This isn't agenda. It's American pursuit of happiness. For all. Applause from allies. Jeers from suits. Elias flanked him. Bullhorn in hand outside. My brother's grave don't care about your politics. Let folks love. The bill passed narrow, but exemptions carved for cultural sites. Crow qualified Nathaniel's legacy a shield. Victory tasted bittersweet. Jonathan drove home drained. Riley's hand warm on his thigh. You're a warrior. Intimacy deepened. Riley moved in weekends, his stethoscope joining the clutter. They dreamed tandem, clinic on site, healing horses and hearts. Family, Riley murmured post-love, fingers tracing Jonathan's spine. But doubt nipped, was this rebound or rebirth? Betrayal revisited in spring 27. A donor, big oil money, Texas drawl, offered 6 figures for expansion. Catch, tone down the rainbow. Make it family-friendly. Jonathan balked. Elias fumed. Sellouts what killed Nate's folks. Chasing dollars over dirt. The donor's email escalated. Or we pull strings. Your grants? Gone. Pressure-mounted bank calls. Elias's gout flaring. Jonathan paced the cabin. Riley watching worried. Fight or fold? Fight. He leaked the emails to allies. Scandal erupted. The donor retreated, tail tucked, but ripples hit. Cancellations from conservative pockets. Hate mail scrawled, go back to New York. Ferry. Riley held him through the hate, but cracks showed. This war's wearing you, he said after a slashed tire. Maybe. Pause. The words echoed Alex's old mantra. Jonathan lashed. Pause? Like quitting. The fight escalated. Riley accusing burnout. Jonathan betrayal fear. Doors slammed. Riley packed a bag. I love you. But love shouldn't bleed. Alone. Jonathan rode Echo to the ridge. Storm clouds brooding. Lightning memory flashed the slide. Elias's grip. Not today. He texted Riley. Bleed's part of it. Come back? Reconciliation was raw. Tears in the kitchen. Riley's arms iron bands. I'm in. All the way. They vowed therapy, group for ranch folk. Unpacking grief's baggage. Summer solstice brought ritual. Guests gathered for a wide-open bonfire. Stories circled. Flames fed Nathaniel's sketches. The teen, outed and ousted, clutched Jonathan's hand. You make it possible. Elias toasted. To Nate. To us. Riley proposed under full moon. Not ring, but a braided leather band, woven with sage. Build with me. Jonathan yes-ed. Kiss salt sweet. But climax loomed. Fall floods ravaged. Creek swelled, washing out the access road. Tours stranded. Livestock threatened. Jonathan coordinated evac. Mud to his elbows. Radio barking. Elias herded cattle. Riley triaged injuries. A twisted ankle. A gash. Then the call, echo. Caught in wire. Leg mangled. Jonathan raced. Heart in throat. The filly thrashed. Eyes wild. Riley knelt calm. Syringe ready. Easy. Girl. Euthanasia whispered. Jonathan's hand on her flank. Nathaniel's echo, he choked. Shot fired, not bullet, but mercy. Grief compounded, but unity forged. Community rallied. Neighbors sandbagging. Feds airlifting supplies. Rebuild started swift, crowdfund soared. Queer donors doubling down. Solidarity, read the notes. Winter healed. Jonathan and Riley snowshowed trails. Planning, clinic groundbreaking spring. Elias dated, a widow from town. Her pies rivaling his pancakes. Life's for living, he said, winking. Anniversary hit, 2 years since the letter. Jonathan hiked the trailhead, Riley trailing. At the sign, he knelt, soil sifted through fingers. Miss you, Nate. But we're good, wind answered, gentle. Back home, fire crackled. Elias joined for toasts. Family, he said, clinking glasses. Love's course, altered yet again, deeper, wider, enduring. Year 3 dawned electric. The clinic ribbon-cut drew press. Governor's rep shaking Jonathan's hand. Cameras flashing on the plaque. Crow Healing Center. In memory of Nathaniel Crow, pioneer of open hearts. Riley's domain. Exam rooms humming with vaccines and checkups. Volunteers from vet schools. This saves lives, he told Jonathan post-ceremony. Kiss quick amid chaos. Ours included. Crow wilds evolved. Glamping pods dotted the meadow, each named for a star Sirius for Nathaniel's favorite. Bookings boomed. Diversity blooming. Elders from the residential leading sweat lodges. Drag brunches under cottonwoods. Jonathan's TEDx talk, from Badlands to Belonging, went viral, invites flooding. But fame's glare exposed fissures. Podcaster, hungry for edge, cornered Elias at a fair. The brother angle, hate to love? Juicy. Elias, 3 beers deep, spilled, hated the idea at first. Thought it'd ruin us. But Nate, he saw truth in it. The clip twisted, headlines screamed ranch feud. Inside the anti-gay backlash that built a gay empire. Backlash bit. Protests at the gate. Signs Sodom on the Shoshone. Pickets blocking tours. Online trolls dox Jonathan old Brooklyn addresses. Family ties. Knew you'd bring the vultures. He snapped at Elias over dinner. Riley mediating. Elias's face fell. Didn't mean. Intent don't matter. Jonathan stormed out. Echo's ghost haunting the corral. Riley found him at dawn. Blanket draped. We're stronger scarred. But the scar reopened. Anonymous tip to the board. Forged docs claiming embezzlement. Jonathan skimming grants. Audit loomed. Donors wavered. Betrayal 2.0, Jonathan muttered. Pacing. Who? Elias, guilt-ridden, rival outfit, envious, investigation cleared him, sloppy forgeries, but trust eroded. Board meeting turned tribunal. Optics, Jonathan. Step back. Riley urged, fight smart. Delegate. He did, hired a manager. Lena, sharp as sagebrush, stepped into advisory, focusing clinic. Riley's practice swelled. They adopted a rescue mutt, Jasper, chaos incarnate. Domesticity soothed. Grocery lists pinned to fridge, Jasper's zoom eyes sinking with laughter. Yet conflict crested summer. A guest teen runaway, Jace arrived battered, rainbow bruises from home. Jonathan housed him in Sirius, counseling soft. Stay till safe. Jace bloomed, helping stables, sketching maps. But his dad tracked, stormed the ranch, shotgun racked. Give me my boy, or God help you. Elias met him at the gate, calm as canyon. Boy's a man. And he's home. Sheriff called. Dad cuffed. Raging scripture. Jace clung post. You saved me. The story leaked. Sympathy surged. But threats followed. Jonathan's phone. Queer enablers burn. Sleep fled. Riley's hand on his gun safe. We arm up. No. Jonathan rallied allies. Legal aid for Jace. Security cams. Protesters doubled. But counter-rallies formed, pride on the plains. Locals waving flags. Climax fractured at Harvest Moon. Fundraiser gala. Lanterns strung. Fiddles wailing. Donors mingled. Jace emceed. Voice steady. Then the shot, real this time. Cracking the night. Panic. Guests diving. Jonathan shielding Riley. Bullet grazed a beam. Splintering wood. Sheriff swarmed. Shooter nabbed. Protester. Unhinged vet from Nam. Ranting purge. Jonathan's temple throbbed. Echo of that first imagined crack. In the aftermath, arms wrapped tight, he whispered, close. Riley fierce. But not. Hospital cleared him, adrenaline crash. No wound. Elias hugged awkward. My fault. Mouth again. Forgiven. Jonathan clapped his back. We're Crow. Unbreakable. Rebuild post-gala. Security beefed, but spirit soared. Jace stayed, apprenticing under Lena. Therapy group expanded, trauma circles by firelight. Jonathan wrote, memoir pitch, wide open wounds, Nathaniel's letters woven in. Winter brought lull. Riley and Jonathan escaped to Yellowstone. Geysers steaming, bison thundering. In a snowbound cabin, Riley knelt again. Ring this time, gold with turquoise inlay. Marry me? Make it forever. Tears froze on Jonathan's lashes. Yes. God. Yes. Elias through the party. Ranch hands, residential elders. Jace toasting. To love that outlasts lead. Spring wedding. Under the ridge. Wildflowers nodding. Riley in boots and bow tie. Jonathan in chambray, Nathaniel's hat tipped jaunty. Vows echoed. In storms and shots. I choose you. Rings exchanged. Kiss ceiling. Honeymoon. Road trip. Kerouac style. Badlands to Big Sur. Hands linked over gearshift. Course altered. Jonathan mused. Pacific crashing. For the better. Back. Life layered. Clinic birthed foals. Tours birthed bonds. Jace came out to his mom. Forgiven. Visiting. Elias proposed to the widow. Double wedding whispers. Betrayal's last gasp. Old donor sued. Defamation from the leak. Settled quiet. Hush money hissing away. Karma's a canyon, Elias chuckled. Summer solstice bonfire. Flames fed ghosts. Jonathan spoke. Nathaniel started this, a horse, a hiker, a heart. Guests shared. Lives mended. Loves found. Riley squeezed his hand. And counting. Decades blur. Crow Wild's a beacon. Franchised to Montana. New Mexico, queer havens etched in earth. Jonathan and Riley's home. A-frame addition to the cabin. Jasper's pups yipping. Twins arrived 32. Adopted. Boisterous. Nate and Joe. Tumbling through sage like whirlwinds. Elias married. Grandkids on hips. His growl softened to purr. Spoil 'em rotten, he'd say. Sneaking candy. The widow, Clara, baked pies that rivaled legend. Jace thrived. Manager now. His art on gallery walls. Portraits of cowboys kissing at dawn. You gave me canvas, he told Jonathan at the twins' baptism. Residential elder pouring water. Challenges ebbed. A recession pinched, but community crowdfunded. Climate chewed fences, droughts, then deluges but solar sustained. Herds hardy. Nathaniel's grave. Tended annual. Wild roses climbing. Jonathan visited solstice. Twins in tow. Uncle Nate rode big, Joe lisped, tossing pebbles. Nate nodded solemn. Like Daddy's stories. Riley joined. Arm round waist. He'd steal 'em for rides. Humanistic arc crested 35. National Park collab. Trails named Crow Corridor. Dedication drew crowds. Biden proxy lauding American resilience. Jonathan spoke. Voice weathered wise. This land doesn't judge. It holds. For the lost, the loving, the altered, protests faded to fringe. Allies amplified, schools integrating queer history, ranches allying. Personal peak. Memoir hit bestseller altered course. Oprah nod. Tours sold out. Jonathan keynote. Riley vetting VIP pets. But depth dwelled quiet. Anniversaries. Recreating firsts, trailhead picnics. Starlit vows renewed. Still wide? Riley asked. Silver threading his hair. Wider. Jonathan kissed his temple. Echo of grazes past. Elias's health faltered, heart, like the ranch's pulse. Bedside. Clan gathered. Did good. Boys, he rasped, Clara's hand in his. Nate say. Love wins ugly fights. He slipped gentle. Sunrise gilding the room. Funeral. Riderless horse. Boots reversed in stirrups. Jonathan eulogized. Brother to one, uncle to all. Forged in fire. Cooled in grace. Grief cycled, tides now familiar. Twins consoled. Grandpa's riding with Uncle Nate. Rebirth, Elias scholarship. Queer youth ranches. Clara stayed. Anti-fierce. 40 brought reflection. Jonathan, 48, hiked the original trail, knees creaky, heart full. At the ridge, wind whisper, live wide. He smiled, tears salt on lips. Riley waited below. Twins grown to teens, helping tours. Ready, always. Legacy layered, Nate studying enviro. Joe vetting like dad. Jace's exhibit. Wyoming Hearts. Nathaniel Central. Final hook. A letter. Yellowed. From Alex, dying. AIDS late. Heard your story. Wish I'd stayed. Forgive? Jonathan replied, forgiven long ago. Live your wide. Human end. Not tragic. Not flawless, raw. Redemptive. Love's course. Cowboy curved. Carried on. In the Badlands' embrace, Jonathan stood with his family forged. Not born. The horse had stopped. Life galloped eternal.